Hello, everybody. We're going to start this show. Okay, I'm back. This is the first time I'm setting this up, which is why I'm a little bit of a novice. कैसे भेजते हैं भाई रिक्वेस्ट? एक मिनट. Yes. Now I'm just waiting for Nidhi to join. The idea for the show is every week we talk to someone who is passionate about dogs, whether it's somebody who's a trainer or a nutritionist, or just somebody who has dogs and really loves them. Just to get to know each other better and learn something along the way. So today we're going to speak to Nidhi, who is a canine trainer. She's trained by and yeah, let's see what her story is and what advice she has for pet parents. Because I always find these interludes very awkward. So hopefully the music is helping. Unable to join? I'm just sending her a request again. I know she's online because she's waving. Hello, everybody. Oh, hi.
Hi. I was just going to ask you about the music.
I was getting very awkward on this live thing because I've never done it before. I did not realize it is such performance pressure while you wait for the other person.
And you also wait for people to join and then say something. And like, can you hear me? Am I audible?
I can hear you.
I hope I am.
Awesome. So, hi Nidhi. Thanks for doing this.
I thank you for organizing this.
Okay, so why don't we start off with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Doggiversity.
Okay, cool. I hope the teacup is not too distracting. But okay, so I'm a trainer. I'm based in Noida / Greater Noida. Greater Noida is the greater of the two Noidas. Anyways, so I've been training for a few years now, and for the last 1 year, I've also started doing behavior work. And I also board. I do what is called single pet boarding. So it's only one pet at a time or one family at a time. That's pretty much it. I did have a proper day job before this, but now I'm doing this full time.
I have a lot of questions, and if anybody else has questions, please feel free to comment here. So what is the difference between training and behavior work, first of all? Because I'm learning about this space as we go along. What's the difference?
So
like, what kind of trainers do you have?
Yes. So thank you for that question. It's a good question, and it's important for everyone to know the difference between just training and training plus behavior or just behavior work. Like who do you call? Do you call a trainer? Do you need a behaviorist, or do you even need like a vet or a nutritionist? Because all these 4-5 different people, even groomers, work in conjunction. We all work ideally together to help you have a better life with your dog. Training is basically you're trying to teach your dog, your pet, certain behaviors that are going to be useful for them and that you can ask them to do on cue. Like if you say sit, your dog should be able to sit, something as simple as that. It also includes a couple of different things, and the kind of training as such can be done for any animal, like even human beings can use the same principles for themselves or like each other, or like typically social media companies will use a lot of these principles of training to hook us onto their apps and create these habits. And these are the same habits that we want our dogs to have. For example, I want my dog to not jump on guests. It's just a matter of telling the dog to listen when you see a guest. As soon as you see a guest, you perform a behavior which is sitting down politely and maybe offering a hand.
Hmm.
But as long as my dog is not jumping, that's a good thing. Now, to take the same example, let's say a dog is jumping excessively on, say, a guest, or let's say there's a dog who barks constantly at the doorbells, which, by the way, you will probably hear during this live session. I'm sorry in advance about this.
Dogs are welcome. I've got three running around somewhere. I'm sure there will be some disturbance at some point. But that's
Great,
fine.
perfect. That would come that would come under behavior problems. So then we need to analyze why the dog is barking. Is the dog is some guarding instinct coming out? Is the dog actually scared of uh, the people who are coming through the door, or has that habit simply been reinforced over time, consciously or unconsciously? So that's
Yeah.
behavior work, which is slightly more elaborate than training work, and it takes longer,
Okay.
uh, and it can be slightly painful as well.
So behavior, as I understand, is when there is a specific issue that you want to work on, right? So,
Yeah,
for example,
specific in
huh,
issue, we look at the dog as a dog. We look
okay,
at the dogginess of the dog. We look at
huh,
any fear-related issues, any of the natural emotions that the dog is going through.
okay.
Uh, and training is a little low-key than that.
Hmm. Sorry,
I see
that's
we're
Raja.
going to
She's
have
barking
some.
because she does not understand what I'm doing here, looking at the phone. So I will just bring her on
We
camera.
want to see. We want to see. Oh, yay. Hi. How are you, cutie?
Now she happy.
Uh, I think this dog, when I said hi, she's like, I also want to see who you're saying hi to. Okay, this is not going to work out. This angle is not
Okay,
it.
now she can't wait to get away. Okay, go. Okay, go.
Okay. She's like, this one is like, okay, I can manage all the angles. This one is a star. She's on top of that.
Does she have her two ponytails right now or no?
She has this one ponytail.
The fashion icon.
Okay, I think I can. Yes. Hi.
Hi. Hi, Genie.
Hi.
How are
Hi,
you?
Gino. She's like, she just wants pets right now.
Awesome.
Okay,
So
okay.
behavior is, as I understand, well, you basically have to look at the dog's personality and see what is the issue about, right? And get to the root of it,
Yeah,
and then kind of help them out of that.
yeah, yeah. Also,
Okay.
typically, a behaviorist will give you a written program and
Okay.
work with you. Uh, Sorry, I think my. I hope I'm still audible.
Yeah, yeah,
Am
yeah. Can hear you.
I? Okay.
Huh.
So, a behaviorist will typically give you a written program and you have to work for slightly longer. You also
Okay.
have to check in a bit more than you would check in with your trainer.
Okay.
So,
So, and
yeah.
training would be what? I mean, how do you kind of define training then?
Sit, come, stay, basic obedience, socialization, any kind of agility training, any kind of working dog sniffing,
Okay.
that would also come under training.
Okay. So training is basically anything that you definitely want your dog to kind of go through, right? To be
Yeah.
settled in the environment they're going to be in. So
Yes.
potty
You may or
training.
may not,
Hmm.
yeah, you may or may not need a behaviorist, but trainer definitely go through the training once.
Got it. Nice. Interesting. Uh, and now my second question, which is more interesting, which is that I never heard of this stuff growing up. So you
Yeah.
know the the career options in front of me were not as cool as they seem to have been for you. How does one decide to become a
They
canine trainer
were,
and kind of go down this path? How did that happen for you?
they were not there for me. I think I was quite old. I was over the hump.
Hmm.
Okay, let me start from the beginning. So as a child, uh, I always wanted a dog of my own, but my parents were not dog people. I was not allowed to have a dog.
That was just not a thing. I think my grandparents had a dog, but then we were living in a more urban sort of apartment setting, so never had the time and place for one. Cut to like maybe 10, 15 years later, and I'm working, I'm an adult now, I'm earning money, and I can typically, like, I mean, I could have technically afforded a dog and pay and call it my dog, not
Okay.
like a sibling, but actually my dog.
Uh,
So I think this is also typically around the time you go through a quarter life crisis, and you're like, okay, I have like a 9 to 5 job, and I'm going and I'm earning all this money for what? So I went and decided to foster a puppy with the intent of adopting.
okay.
And I think anybody who's an adoption coordinator or like a rescuer will be familiar with this story. By because it very happens. You see a promising lead, and what
Yeah.
happens with that lead is that somebody in that family falls ill. That's exactly what happened with me. As soon as I started
Mm,
fostering a puppy, somebody in my family fell ill, and then I couldn't adopt that puppy.
mm,
Anyway, a few months later, I tried with another puppy. I was also with the first puppy. That puppy, by the way, found an excellent family.
nice.
Touch
Uh,
wood.
good.
Um, I had struggled a bit with that puppy, and then the
Mm,
second puppy that I started fostering, I was just way in over my head. Like
yeah.
I was just it was a disaster zone. You could have come to my house and see like the destruction and like everything happening. I think some people are beginning to predict what happened next. But yeah, it's not a good story because I had to give up on that puppy as well. It wasn't
Mm,
working out for me, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I had no
mm,
idea who to even ask.
mm,
Uh, I had no idea that there are trainers. At that point, I didn't. I've still not reached the point where I know that okay, I could have asked a trainer or a
yeah.
behaviorist. Uh, I didn't know even the vets are not that helpful when it comes to any behavior related stuff. I
Mm,
typically go to YouTube or like books for this, and even that advice was not really working for me.
mm,
Um, Anyway, so a few weeks later after that, I saw, I think I was on Twitter, I was big on Twitter, and I saw somebody tweet about um a puppy workshop, like a puppy
okay.
training something. I went and
Nice.
attended. It was a free workshop. We all love free things, so it was the nicest free thing I've ever had in my life. That one workshop. It was done by Rajvi, so that's Citizen Canine on Instagram.
Got it.
And she come to Delhi. She's based out of Mumbai, but she had come to Delhi and she did this 1 hour workshop. And that 1 hour workshop, I still use some of the things from that in my day-to-day training. Some of the things that it was just so informative. Like it was mind blowing. I was a fan. Like, oh my God, like you can do this? Like this is a whole thing? Like, this is your actual day job or something? Um,
Yeah.
then again, I think I kept following her on Twitter, and then she tweeted about Shiren's course because she's also
Okay.
works with Shiren and like everything. And then I ended up doing Shiren's course. Even then, I didn't know I was going to do this full time. I was just hoping to maybe like foster another puppy, and this time actually do it properly and not mess up big time. Um, and then I just started practicing. Like as a trainer, your experience really matters. So I was just
Yeah.
taking up little trainings before and after my working hours. And slowly, I think I realized that a lot of people do need like do ask for training, and
Mm,
they once we have this even one conversation, once we have even one class, it makes a huge difference in how they see their dog, how they
yeah.
interact with them. And I also realized I can't manage like two jobs, so I like gave up on my
The side
uh,
hustle became
full,
the actual hustle.
yeah, the side hustle became the
No, but that's
job.
interesting that you bring that up because, I mean, I can say at least from my experience, and I've had dogs now for about 6, 7 years. So not like my entire lifetime, but even though 6, 7 years have been, a step change in terms of how much you learn about your dog, right? And the first
Yeah,
couple of years, you learn very different things, and then you start learning about very different things as they enter a very different stage in their
So,
life as well. And what I realized was that there was actually no guidance because there was nobody in my family who had a dog, or there was no close friend I could really look out to in terms
yeah,
of help around what should I do. And there are Facebook groups, there are that kind of conversation with somebody, right? And I think that's what I missed out on, definitely. Bringing my dogs up, that I didn't have that kind of guidance, and it would have made such a big difference in terms of even things I think we've allowed now, that now I see it and now I'm like, हमें ये करना चाहिए था in the first year, and it probably wouldn't have been there like this. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think that's definitely something that people who at least work in the space resonate with, right? That um, people, I think, are not right now in that space where they realize that a trainer can be so much help in the first couple of years, specifically as well, right? Before you even get to the behavior aspect of things, the training piece is that much more important. So you also mentioned that you also do single pet boarding, right? So that's either one dog or one cat, right?
yeah,
And my knowledge of boarding centers is limited to the few that I've seen, which are typically there'll be 10 dogs and they'll all be in those kennels.
yeah.
How has your experience been versus a training center like that, a boarding center like that, and what you do? How has that panned out for you?
Yeah, so I think this concept of like single dog boarding, I'm not really sure about its history, but it probably stemmed from some sort of foster system, or I would say pet sitting, because I was pet
Hmm.
sitting before this. I would go and pet sit in somebody's house. Uh, but now I just have a space of my own, and I don't have dogs or cats of my own. So it's an empty house,
Hmm.
and the whole 2H BHK is sort of like open for this one dog. Or
Yeah.
if like obviously like a family has two or three dogs, they can leave all two or three of their dogs with me. Or in some cases, like one dog, one cat who have been living
Hmm.
together. Again, they're welcome in this space.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that's how it started. I think from pet sitting to having a house which doesn't have pets. And typically, this kind of setup is really useful for dogs who have aggression issues or some kind of
Hmm.
behavior issues. So, uh, when you have 10 dogs in a boarding center in a kennel, either the setup will be that they're all caged, either they're all kept in separate enclosures, which
Hmm.
typically is a small enclosure. There are good boardings which have huge like enclosures for one dog at a time.
Hmm.
Um, but yet the dogs can see each other. And for some dogs who have like dog to dog aggression, or who have even fear issues, or who are just uncomfortable and not that, I would say, extroverted, they're introverted dogs. They just
Yeah.
don't like being with other dogs. It could
Hmm.
also be a dog who's just susceptible to falling ill really often, or need some kind of special like medical care. So for these kind of dogs, having a single dog boarding setup that is available is very useful. And this also, yeah, so when we so I don't take up aggression cases, but other trainers, like Namrata, she takes up
Yeah.
aggression cases. So initially when you're doing behavior work with them, you do want to separate them from other dogs, especially if it's a case of dog to dog aggression. So again, in cases like this, when while the behavior program is like, a lot of behaviorists like us, we struggle to find a space where the family can leave this dog knowing
Yeah.
that the dog will be safe, will be happy. So
Hmm.
it's also like really useful to have this space, so that that dog can have
Yeah.
like a break.
Yeah. I'm sure it also helps. I mean, dogs that have separation anxiety, right? If you get that kind of
Yeah,
one-on-one attention versus just being with a bunch of other dogs.
yes, that's true. So typically, again, like in a kennel setup, the kennel staff is not always able to spend 100% of the day with that dog. Um, And here in my house, I try to make sure that me or somebody else is always there with the dog, especially if the
Yeah.
dog does have separation anxiety. Also, I do make sure that, if your dog does have separation anxiety to begin with, do put them on a program so that it becomes easier for them and you.
Hmm.
You don't always have to rely on someone like me to
Yeah.
step in all the time.
Yeah. When you say program, you mean one of those behavior programs um that you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, sorry, I think your voice broke.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Huh. So when you
yes,
say program, you were talking about one of those behavior programs, right? That
the
you were
behavior
speaking
program.
about in the beginning.
Yeah, which is a more long-term,
Yeah.
day-to-day sort of a thing. Yes.
Nice, interesting. So I'm sure there's been a lot of fun things that have happened while you've been doing this. I don't know. Is there anything that you can share? Maybe I know that you were hosting a dog and a cat together, so I'm sure that must have been entertaining.
Yeah, I think I ended up learning a lot about cats
Yeah.
just because of dogs, because
Yeah.
my doggy family is one of them. I'm eternally grateful to this one lady who was like, who tried me out with her dog very
Okay.
cleverly for a few
Yeah.
days. And then after a few days, she's like, Nidhi, you know what? You can keep my cat as well. And I realized it was a test. She had put me through a test and she was just seeing if I'm like responsible with the dog so she can also leave the cat, who was a
Yeah.
special cat. He had some special needs.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, it was really cool. I learned everything I know about cats through pure, like just having a cat thrown at me.
Yeah.
Uh, and at this point, I'm kind of more of a cat person than a dog person. I absolutely love cats, and I love
Yeah.
the relationship that they can have with humans and with other cats and with other dogs. It's just a whole like revelation for.
Yeah.
Also, like I was just talking to someone a few days ago, like cats are not really popular as pets as India. So again, like growing up, I aspired for a
Yeah.
dog as a pet. I
I
never
know.
even thought of a cat as a pet. Like it's just not a thing.
Yeah, they didn't put them in any Vodafone ads ना, तो पता ही नहीं लगा. Otherwise, वही से तो हमारी knowledge बनी है. 101
Yeah.
Dalmatians and the Hutch ad.
Oh gosh. I've not watched 101 Dalmatian. Like I've
I
just
haven't
not.
either. I
I don't
think
even
I
think.
feel like I've just seen imagery like growing up, and that's just been my knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Acha, हाँ, Dalmatians are a
And now
thing.
the harnesses,
Yeah.
the harnesses, the collars, and all the merchandise. I do want to watch this movie because it's the Cruella movie, which is going to come out because
Yeah.
it's a really good actress, and I feel the cinematographer is going to be like really amazing.
I know that's going to be like a
So,
blast from the past. I feel like now they're just making
yeah,
movies for people who were kids in the 90s or अब बड़े होके nostalgia has just become like this
fan
prevalent
service.
theme just to
Yeah,
remakes. Cool. I
just
think
fan
let's
service.
yeah. I think let's answer
Okay.
some questions. There are some that came in. There's one from Think Abstract, which is the most difficult aspect of having a dog. What are your thoughts?
Um, Most difficult aspect of this is a difficult one. Thank you for the question. Uh, I would say not knowing what they're thinking. I think
Hmm.
sometimes, okay, do you want a visual? Okay, I'm not going to give you a visual, but this dog is just humping like a toy, and I'm not sure what she's thinking.
I think we need a
And a
visual
lot of
now.
she's stopped. I think she heard me.
It's invading her
uh,
privacy.
yeah, that would be rude and probably inappropriate. Anyway, I think that's like that's what it boils down to. You kind of like you have a problem and you just wish you could talk to your dog and ask them, dude, bro, why are you barking? Like why did
Yeah.
you pee in that corner? Like why? Just tell me why. Just not having this means of like communicating or this back and forth, it can be quite I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be like at some point in their life, I think every pet parent is like, you know what, I need to know what my dog is thinking. I need to know whether they love me. I need to know
Is it just the
everything.
food? Do they
Yeah,
really like me?
yeah.
Yeah, I think you went very philosophical with that one. Both are definitely. I mean, if you go to the root of any problem, I think, or any difficulty, it boils down to why can't I just ask them what they need?
Yeah. It would be
Yeah, but
it would be easiest. Like
yeah, I
you
know.
don't need a trainer, you wouldn't need I mean you would still need us, but like even
It'll be
like
more,
going to the vet would be so much easier if your dog could just say,
yeah, this is
I'm
what
I'm in
happened.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think for me the most difficult aspect would be kind of related to that. I think if you go down to the root, it is essentially a communication thing. But for me, it definitely is not knowing if you're doing the right thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've had dogs before, and I've just gotten Sriracha, who's only feel like I don't know exactly what I'm doing, right? And I feel like that's an eternal kind of state you're in. That am I doing the right thing? Is this going to bite me in the ass 10 years later? What's really going to
Literally,
happen?
quite literally in some
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah, so I feel like, and I mean, you're right. It boils down to that same communication piece, right? Because you can't talk to them. Do you even know if you're doing the right thing or not? I think
Yeah.
you live like my mom looks at me with this smug smile now because she's just like, now you know what it's like to have kids.
To be a
Because
parent.
I'm like, please
I have a
just
rebellious kid.
yeah. So good question. There's another one that Prachi's asked around dog neutering. And there's a bunch of like very different information that you get around this. But I mean, what's your opinion? How do you tackle this question when you get it?
I love this question. I don't know why, but I actually went down a rabbit hole yesterday just going through the same question. Like
Yeah.
just when you think of something and then you're like, okay, maybe I should Google this and like what is the latest research and then like I mean like 2 hours later you're like reading why does my dog hump? Like yeah, there's actually an actual book which is by this really respected scientist, Mark
Okay.
Bekoff, which
Yeah.
I ended up going through, which is called "Why Do Bees Get Depressed?" and Why Does My Dog like it's a very long title. Anyway, I kind of try to look at the question of neutering really scientifically.
Okay.
So unfortunately, not a lot of research is done in this area.
Yeah.
I have a background in physics, so
Okay.
I kind of like to think of things as scientific. This been has there been enough research? Can I actually quote like a paper or something? Uh, so I really believe in the scientific method. I mean, that's
Mm.
science got us here. It's why we have Instagram. It's why I have a phone which has a battery which can just do magic. Like it's everything. So
Yeah.
it's a good question. There are many things to it. There are pros, there are cons, and there are reasons like
Mm.
why your dog needs to get neutered and reasons why your dog shouldn't get neutered.
Mm.
So I like to look at it at a case by case basis.
Okay.
And legally also, I don't think there's a law which says that your dog needs to be spayed or neutered.
Okay.
The law is against backyard breeding. So you
Mm.
can't breed your dog and like sell the puppies if you don't have a license. So that's the
Mm.
legal aspect of it in this country. So you can't breed your dog. But it
Mm.
doesn't say that you have to like legally your dog is not required to be neutered or spayed. And okay, so that's the legal aspect. The medical aspect is that it does, in for example, in female dogs, apparently, like it prevents a lot of uh, cancers or like infections of the
Right.
uterus. Um, so there's that. That's why your vet will say that you should get your dog neutered. Now, we don't want backyard breeding to happen if you feel you don't really have the time to monitor your dog all the time and you have a female dog who's still fertile,
Mm.
and there are the chances that she will not accidentally, but she will mate, and you end up accidentally with puppies that you don't want and you can't handle.
Yeah.
So that's again a question you need to ask, like do
You
I
want to be
have
in
the
that
time to,
situation.
yeah, do I want to get a license for breeding? Do I even want to breed my dog?
Yeah.
And am I responsible enough to be around my dog all the time while she's in heat? Or if it's a male dog, do I always ensure the safety of female dogs or like my own dog? Am I able to do that? If I don't have the time for like 24 into 7 supervision, then just neuter, like spay or neuter.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, the fourth aspect, because I'm a behaviorist, there are many times that we will say that, you know what, just wait. Just wait till your dog is 1 year old and then we'll make a call. So there can be different situations. Either we've told you this and before, like, I'm not saying don't spay or neuter. Like, I'm just
Hmm.
saying you
These are
need
all
to
the
think about
reasons.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wait till your dog is 1 year old before you
Hmm.
make the call. Um, the hormones are important for the growth, the actual physical growth of a dog's body. There have been some research in the last 3 4 years, so it's very recent research that is not really like widely known yet. That
Yeah.
the dogs do need these hormones to grow up and like have a strong body till the 1 years old, and then you can go through the question. Now,
Got it.
another reason why you might not want to neuter your dog is if your dog has some fear issues or if there are multiple dogs in your household.
Hmm.
And definitely don't go for neutering first and then go to a behaviorist. Like
Hmm.
don't like my dog was aggressive, so the vet said, uh, like neuter kar do, ho jayega, theek ho jayega.
Hmm.
And then you
Because
find
it
out
could,
that it was,
maybe it's
yeah,
not because of the neutering. I mean,
yeah.
it's not the hormones,
Yeah,
basically.
aggression is not a sexual
Yeah.
function. It's really not. It
Hmm.
can be, but
Hmm.
aggression, one of the reasons can be like some sort of like a misbalance of
Yeah.
sexual hormones, but it's not always. So
Hmm.
don't blindly go neuter your dog, because sometimes even an aggressive dog, we say that actually, you know what, your dog needs to be intact.
Yeah.
So it is an important question. It is a question that is important, but it's also deserves as much thought.
Got it. So case to case basis, and try to
Yeah.
consult a behaviorist as well as your vet to kind of balance that opinion,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I think
Do
that
look
makes a lot of
through
sense. It's a very balanced kind of answer as well, because typically you don't get very nuanced arguments around this, right? Because I think, and it's also fair because I feel like depending on who you ask, you get opinions either from people who want to prevent, that prevent
accidental
situations where
pregnancy.
people where puppies don't get adopted, or if puppies are left alone on the road. Like I know, for example, we adopted an indie right from the street. I mean, he always used to kind of be in our house car boundaries, and slowly started becoming a house dog as well. And I
Yeah.
go outside in my lane, and all the puppies look like him because obviously when he was out there, it's like every second I'm like, Dobby,
Yeah.
is that you? But they're all his offspring. And
Yeah.
so it also becomes like a management issue, I think, for local authorities as well, right? That how do you kind of
Yeah.
manage that?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a very tricky kind of question to ask. But
So
specifically, I think you
when
answered the
the
question really well for companion dogs at home, right? Which is that,
Yeah,
see what
I
your
was
case is like.
answering for, yeah, for the
Yeah,
companion dogs and not the stray dog population, which is a whole different
yeah, correct.
conversation. So if it's
Yeah,
your dog, I just assume the person meant like their dog at
correct,
home.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like,
But yes,
but
you're right.
it's important because I feel like those wires get crossed sometimes. So people kind of take it to
Yeah.
mean that, it has to be done and all of that. But I think very balanced kind of view on that. And there is one more
Yes.
question, which
Okay.
is around food. Is dog food like pedigree or drools good for dogs?
I feel like I've been thrown all the curveballs today.
मैं
Why is
एक
this
बंदा
our
मिला है
first
पूछ लो सब.
episode? Okay, so food. There are 3 4 different schools of thought. As with anything in life, there are different opinions. Um, I like to have a mix of whatever is convenient for the pet parent, because
Hmm.
food cannot necessarily be it shouldn't be like a sort of like an impediment to you having like a good fulfilling life with your dog.
Yeah.
It is true that some of the brands are not very responsible with what they put in their in the kibble, and
Hmm.
there's the barf dice, the BARF, so biologically appropriate raw food, which the theory which says that your dog should have foods that are like biologically, so no cooked foods, for example,
Hmm.
because dogs can't cook. Like, we invented fire.
Hmm.
Humans' digestive systems can deal with sort of cooked food, but dogs don't really need that. They need, in fact, the raw food.
Yeah.
That being said, there's also one school of thought which I really like and subscribe to is um, just share your food with your dog. Just if you're making palak paneer or something,
Hmm.
just don't take out a bite which doesn't have like salt, sugar in it, like all the
Hmm.
spices. Just make sure, like, just share your daily meal with your dog. That just increases your bonding with your dog. He's your dog. Don't obviously feed from the table before, like, I get people in my DMs. Uh, no salt, sugar, and nothing. You can give haldi, you can give coconut.
Yeah.
Um, but why not, like, just share? If you're having different foods every day, try to give your dog like different foods every day and try to maybe like share a bit of that food. This is also, I forget what this food. So I learned this from John Rogerson, who
Okay.
really focuses on your bond with your dog. And food can be one way to bond with your dog if you're
Okay.
sharing the ingredients, not the recipe, but the ingredients.
Yeah.
Um, it's also good for you. You just eat raw
Yeah,
food
that's
yourself.
exactly what I was thinking of. It's also good for you because in the hope of having a healthy dog, you will also eat healthier
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I did try it. This one time I was fostering a puppy. I was like, you know what, dude, she eats healthier food than me. Like,
I
I
know.
was cooking, like making all these vegetables and like socializing her to like different tastes. And I'm like, this is delicious. I'm going to have a bite of it.
No, it's true though. मतलब
Yeah.
genuinely ऐसे कभी कभी लगता है if I'm making chicken khichdi
Yeah.
or whatever, I'm like, this actually looks really yummy.
Smells
Why can't I
great.
just add some salt and then? But yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So I think so. Yeah. So the
So
question
Garma's rule
around,
of thumb is if it smells good, that's good for your dog. If it doesn't smell good, like maybe even your dog shouldn't be having
and if you
it.
can't smell, please get checked for corona because that's
Oh
probably what you have.
God. Yeah. It's a symptom. That's a good symptom.
But so final verdict on dog food, which is packaged food. What do you? I mean, what do you kind of? And your personal opinion. I don't think this is a. I mean, this is it, and this is the opinion on it. But how do you feel
Yeah.
about it?
I feel okay with it. I do like to mix up, like if when I'm fostering puppies and I have 100% responsibility of a puppy, I do mix up, like I'll give only one meal, which is kibble, and the
Hmm.
rest of the meals I'll maybe cook, or maybe one meal will be raw, and then the next day I will rotate to another brand, or like just making sure they're getting the best of every person. Remember, dogs are omnivores, they're also scavengers, so they can cope with like a lot of different foods. I
Hmm.
definitely don't want a fussy eater, so I don't stick to one brand at all, like up the
Okay.
foods, because I don't want a fussy eater at all.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense as well, right? So just so variety you were saying in food more so that they don't become like a stickler for yahi chahiye specific cheese and you kind of
Yeah,
are able to eat across. No, I think
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Hope that answers your question as well, Prachi.
yeah. I hope that answered and not confused you even more.
Awesome. So I think it's been a really good discussion, and I want to end on what we've been kind of working on for the last couple of months, which is everything that this conversation had, everything that I think you've kind of been through in the last 3-4 years as well, which is that we realized that there is a lot of guidance that's missing for new pet parents. And what we are kind of working on together is this course, which is an encapsulation of everything you should be knowing as uh, a parent of a new puppy, right? So, in the first 6 months, this is everything you need to know from potty training to leash walking to basic commands to even games that you should play for mental stimulation. So, how
Yeah.
would you kind of I'm going to put the pressure on you. So, how would you sell it to people? Why do you think people should kind of sign up for something like this?
I think it will just make you enjoy your puppy more. Like, if you
Hmm.
know what you're doing, if you can get that validation that yes, I'm doing the right thing, you're not running in every different direction, looking at Facebook or different books. Like, we've just compressed all the information to you so that you actually have the time to enjoy your life with your puppy. Like, it's a very short phase. It's just 6 months of your dog's life. We're never going to be a puppy again. So why not like do things quickly? Why not do all the learning really quickly? Um, enjoy your time. Just have it easy for yourself and your puppy. You both should be having a good time. So that's why we have this course that we have designed, sort of like, which really puts compresses all this wealth of knowledge that is there, and it's all like in based in science. I will never advise anything that's not rooted in science.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like the best of everything.
And so we're going to launch the course actually in another few weeks. But just to explain the structure to everybody as well, we're going to have 6 weeks of recorded sessions that you kind of do at your own pace and practice along the week, along with a weekly check-in with Nidhi. So you'll actually have a live check-in with somebody who will tell you if the progress you're making is, along the right lines and how you can probably make it even better. So that's where, it's different from what you get on YouTube, which is, of course, a lot of really great content, but this time you actually have somebody checking in on you as well. The other thing that you actually will get is that we're doing this in a cohort, right? So you'll have 5 to 6 other people doing this along with you. So what you end up building is not just, a one-on-one relationship with Nidhi specifically in this case, but also you create a community for you, right? So you have a WhatsApp group, you have a support community where for the rest of, your life with your dogs and everything, you have that support group where you can, bounce off questions and learn from each other's experiences as well. So that's
Yeah.
how we are kind of planning it out. If you have any questions or any tips, please feel free to comment on this. We're going to put this on our IGTV ultimately as well. And Nidhi because she's tagged in all the videos. So please DM her with any opinions and not me. Thanks.
That was nicely done. No, it's a sploot thing. Don't DM me.
But thank you so much, Nidhi, for doing this. I think always really great talking to you. And this was
Yeah.
a fun conversation.
Yes,
And
thank
yeah,
you so much. I had a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to the other videos that you'll do as well
yeah,
and learn. I will maybe I'm hoping they also get thrown the same curveballs. There's not one opinion. It's okay to disagree with each other.
yeah.
I feel like dog people can really do with like, okay, you know what? You do you.
Yeah, no, I like that thought, right? I like that we're ending on that as well. That I feel that the one thing that connects everybody in this space, whether you're a pet parent or a professional, is the fact that you care about dogs, right? At the end of it,
Yeah.
you can have a different way of doing things. You can have maybe a different opinion. Hi, she agrees.
I,
You can have different ways of doing these things, but at the core, it is basically that you want the best for your dog, right? And I feel like that one thing should
yeah.
settle all differences that people have. That you do you,
Yeah.
and just
Your dog
as
should
long
be
as your dog is
happy.
having fun, I think.
Yeah, your dog should always be happy at the front and like center of everything
Yeah,
that we do, that you do, that I do.
yeah,
So yes,
makes a
this is
lot of
great.
sense. I think that's a great thing to end on. Thanks, Didi. Thank you everyone for tuning
Thanks,
in.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys. Bye.
I need to figure out how to shut this also now. Okay,
I'm just
bye.
going to hit the cross and like hope
I
the
hope that
camera
does
is
it.
off.
Okay, bye.